Hello, I'm Llewellyn King, the host of White House Chronicle, which is coming right up. But first, a few thoughts of my own. Well, today these thoughts are to do with a very special program that we have coming. They're about newspapers and the terrible crisis in the newspaper industry. So I thought we'd look back a little bit. How did newspapers get to where they remained for more than 100 years before the current troubles? The modern newspaper probably began in the 1860s, when the effects of general education in Europe and in America began to create a need for things for people to read. And remember, there was very little for people to do in the evening, very, very little. They read their newspapers if they could read, or they read very long novels, and novels were encouraged to be long because people wanted something to do. Very brilliant, foresighted people saw that general education would produce a boom in publishing. In England, it was the Harmsworth brothers. In America, it was people like Luce and Hearst, I beg your pardon, not Luce, but Pulitzer and Hearst, who saw these things coming and were ready for them and caught the wave as it came in, the wave of educated people with nothing to do. Then there was another huge leap forward, which was in 1893, the Morgenthaler Company invented the linotype. So suddenly you could produce the newspaper much more efficiently with a lot less labor and a lot faster. Ergo, a golden period in newspapers went ahead. And the newspaper of the time that succeeded the most was the evening newspaper. H.L. Mencken, the great journalist, said that he was worried about the fate of morning newspapers because evening newspapers were so dominant and getting more so. But that wasn't to last. Along came television, and nobody went home to read the newspaper, and evening newspapers died. Even in the 1960s, there were plenty of them around. There were two in Washington, there were two next door in Baltimore. But now there are very, very few, and mostly, if there are any, New York Post comes to mind, but it's 24 hours a day. It's not really an evening newspaper in the old-fashioned sense. Well, things went along quite well. Other parts of publishing were hurt first by television, the general circulation magazines, Saturday Evening Post, Look, Collier's, etc. But newspapers flourished in the 1960s, 70s. In the 1980s, they were the hottest property you could get. Enormous prices were paid for media, and newspapers were right in the center of the media basket. Not now. The internet has come along. It has taken away the advertisements, and it has taken away the eyeballs. And it does not appear there will be a quick solution. The purpose of our program today is to talk about the damage that that will do to our political culture that has depended so much on journalists from around the country coming to Washington and turning over stones to see what is happening underneath. We'll be right back.
White House Chronicle.